The Lakers return home after a 4-game road trip. Kyle Kuzma always one to blend fashion with function for January. Don't sleep on Montrezl Harrell's game. He's looking sharp, complete with the top hat. And how does this look, Laker fans? Alex Caruso is in the building. AC Fresh has missed the last 5 games for health and safety protocols. The Lakers ride a 4-game winning streak into this one, and while we are only 9 games into the season, tonight is the 3rd meeting in the last 5 games with Greg Popovich, DeMar DeRozan, and the San Antonio Spurs. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock here on Spectrum Sportsnet. As we say hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Allie Clifton, joined by the Hall of Famer Big Game James Worthy, 7-time champ Big Shot Robert Horry. We will get to basketball in just a minute, but first, as the entire country watched in shock and horror yesterday as a mob attacked the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., players from the Raptors and Suns locked arms in a show of unity before the game, while the Bucks and Pistons all took a knee in response to both events in Washington and Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the officer involved in the Jacob Blake shooting was not charged. Here's some reaction from around the NBA.
It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. I think that those two get confused. Like, we expressed ourselves through, basketball today, winning the game. But I think America has every right to be upset. We don't want to encourage violence or anything of that nature. But, we definitely are tired of seeing the same things over and over again. So, to feel that pain and that emotion, you can't control how that necessarily is put out. But we want to continue to use our platform because we obviously, want to keep inspiring change. And I want to believe that we're doing the right thing.
It just goes to show the policing system was built against black people, black and brown people. And that's the reason those reactions are different. That's the reason someone can walk or run or bust their way through or whatever into the Speaker of the House office and put their feet on the desk like they're sitting at home on their couch. And nothing happens. And we, stop calling them people protesters. They're terrorists.
Could you imagine today if those were all black people storming the Capitol and what would have happened? So that to me is a picture that's worth 1,000 words for all of us to see, and probably something for us to reckon with again. No police dogs turn on people, no billy clubs hitting people, people peacefully being escorted out of the Capitol. So it shows that you can disperse a crowd peacefully, I guess, would be the one thing. But it's a sad day in a lot of ways. It's not good for our country, more across the borders that people see this. But it's part of what we are, and so we have to solve it.
A legitimate election is suddenly questioned by millions of people, including many of the people who are leading our country in government, because we've decided to, over the last few years, allow lies to be told. So this is who we are. This is, you reap what you sow.
Guys, it was an awful scene to watch yesterday. In my own words, numbing, disheartening, to say the least. You heard what the players, what coaches around the NBA had to say. James, I'll start with you. Can we get your perspective on everything we witnessed yesterday?
It just seems like every other week on a sports station we're having to respond to something that's happened in the world that's that kind of gets our attention and lets us know where we are in this world. As I watched that, I thought about all the things that have happened to roll up to this. And I remember not too long ago, the same type of protesters are terrorists, domestic terrorists, were in Michigan at the state capitol. And they were threatening to kidnap the governor there because they didn't agree with some of the mandates that she was putting down. So you could see this company. If you live long enough, I lived through integration, segregation. Late 60s, early 70s. So I've seen some stuff. But, and I also remember, as I watched it, I couldn't believe it in the Capitol. I could not believe everything that Draymond Green said. And then I thought back to, I think it was 2014, 2015. I think it was a kid in Baltimore that was shot. Brady Gray, I think his name was. And I just remember the tanks rolling in, like within hours, like military style, and helicopters, and police was standing there so menacing, and I think they made like 300 arrests. And I think 90 to 95% of the audience were peaceful protesters, but it was Black Lives Matters. And so when you see the distinction, and we've seen it since video has come into play. We've seen what police do and how they treat, blacks versus whites. And what we saw in the Capitol was so frustrating, and it lets you know that all the things that people have been talking about all these years, it just has come to, it's like a boil, and it has finally burst in America. And it's hard to accept, but it is exactly the way we see it. And you can't hide it anymore. It's been like that for a very long time. And it's unfortunate and disappointing and humiliating, to be honest with you, that we still are experiencing that today.
For me, watching it, and everything is always different. And James, you can relate to this when you grow up in the South. When you grow up in the South, you experience a lot of things that people, don't experience because they feel like it's okay. And now you see some of the people that was, they were from the South, and it just made me sit there like, yeah, that's the South for you. And it gets to a point where you just sit back and you really want people to see what's going on and understand there is a big difference in skin color. It's nobody had their guns drawn, nobody had batons out, nobody had their shields up, and it's funny how those people were in a threatening position, hands down, forcing, pushing, and they felt like that was okay. I heard one guy was said, we pushed them first, then they pushed back, but that wasn't okay. We just went ahead and pushed more. And I look at all the protests in the Black Lives Matter movement, hands were up, but yet they get tear gas, they get baton, they get, rubber bullets. For me, where were the rubber bullets? I don't want them to shoot anybody. At first I said I wanted that to happen, make an example of it, because in my mind, being a black man, I would have felt like, oh, that's what's going to happen to me. But in my mind, I'm like, yo, rubber bullet, because I don't want anybody to die. I'm not about balance. I'm about peace, because that's what this world needs. It needs peaceful protest. It needs people being aware and informed and understanding what's going on in America. And seeing that, it made me be ashamed of us actually voting for the freaking president. It made me ashamed that we got this guy in office who incites riots, who talks about races, who talks bad about women. Just what are you people seeing in this president and allowing him to fool you? That's basically what he's doing. He's pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. And it just makes me feel like everybody who watches him goes back to the old saying that when they used to call a TV the idiot box. People are watching this idiot and believing the words that are coming out of his mouth. It's basically like he's like Jim Jones. He has a cult following, and people are going out and doing what he says and not understanding the ramifications of what's going to happen, and not understanding that there are kids at home watching this. And in 20 years, they're going to feel like, well, they did it back in 2001. Why can't we do it now? So it's just shameful that people attack the Capitol on federal grounds and the president did nothing but sit back and tweet.
I want to say something really quick before we move on, because though we have all come to understand, and those that matter know that this continues to not be a burden or a responsibility that you guys should have to endure. To the both of you, Karan, to D. Fish, who continue to walk through these walls, who continue to go out there outside of this building and continue to fight for change, to lead that charge. I say it all the time, and I won't stop saying it. Thank you. Because though yesterday, so many felt like we have yet to make much progress. In the bottom of my heart, I believe that change can happen. And you guys are the ones that continue to inspire and motivate for a fight that is long overdue, but that I believe will continue to matter and make a difference.
It's starting to happen. You see what happened in Georgia. Young people are starting to see that their vote counts. So that's a start. But it's tough to see the difference smack you right in the face like every other week, seems like.
Thank you both.
Yeah, I just think everybody should just live by the rules. Just, be good to one another, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Sometimes it's just as simple as that.
Much love always. As we turn our attention after Tuesday's game, LeBron James was asked about the More Than a Vote campaign that culminated in a sweeping victory for 2 Senate Democrats in Georgia's runoff election. Here's what he had to say.
We got to continue to stay strong, continue to believe in each other, and continue to push for the greater of change and for the greater of good. And to hear, my people turn out in Georgia in the fashion that they did. I'm definitely going to get some more information on it, but I heard they turned out in Georgia, and that's commendable. It's something that we started with More Than a Vote, and we want to continue to do that and continue to support, actions like this and causes that went on today. And it's been going on, obviously. So proud of my people for getting out there and doing what they do best. So, and that's being heard and being seen and being powerful and being engaged. And that's how it is.
What does the next stage of More Than a Vote look like? You started in the summer. There was the big election in November, the runoff today. Can you take us forward as to what the next steps will be?
One, I can tell you, Dave, is that we're not going to stop, and we're always looking for opportunities to continue to grow, not only in my community but all over the world and all over America. As you've seen, we've been able to do since the summertime, all the way up into today. So we're going to continue to keep our foot on the gas, continue to keep our foot on, keep the pressure on going, on how we continue to create change. And like I said, and create change for the black community, but also just create change for the greater good. And we're looking forward to and seeing what ways we can do and what we can do going forward.
One of the senators defeated in the Georgia runoff was Atlanta Dreams co-owner Kelly Loeffler. In response to her defeat, LeBron tweeted, "Think I'm going to put together an ownership group for the dream. Who's in? Hashtag Black Votes Matter." In response to LeBron, Dodgers superstar Mookie Betts tweeted, "Count me in." And fellow NBA superstar Carmelo Anthony responded with, "Let's talk, bro." While yesterday was a terrible day for America, there was some good news as voting efforts in Georgia will hopefully bring about some positive change. And Rob, we've talked about it. Big game, you brought it up the other night. The NBA and the WNBA, two of our very own at the forefront with Chiney Ogwumike and Candace Parker, have been using their platform, and it looks to be a step in the positive and right direction.
What we don't really recognize is what the steps the WNBA does, because they don't have the platform that the NBA has, and I wish they did, because these are some powerful women who are stepping up and doing what's right. The person you can think about the most right now is what Maya Moore did. Giving up her career for a guy that she had heard about when she was like 16 or 17 and followed this. It was wrong. The injustice that he served, did everything in her power to get him out. And and this is what I hate about TV and stuff. We talk about what the Kardashians did, but we just because she is a little bit more famous than Maya Moore, but Maya Moore gave up her career. That enhanced her career. She gave up her career. And think about this. This is one of the best WNBA players you ever will see play the game, but she gave it up because she wanted to show America and the world and young girls at home and young men at home that This is what you do when you believe in a cause. You go out and you fight for a cause. You fight for what's unjust. You fight for what you need to do. And I'm so proud that she was able to accomplish her goal. And that's a sign to all the youth at home. No matter what you're doing, fight for what's right. Fight for your goal, because if you fight and you do what you're supposed to do, anything is possible.
Yeah, it was nice to see at the beginning of the WNBA, the NBA, Commissioner Stern, you know, kind of took them in and supported them because he knew how important it was to have, you know, women have their voices heard and their talents seen. And, you know, since then, you've seen a lot of NBA players grasp toward, you know, some of the players we're all friends with, WNBA players. And, you know, while we focus on black men, black women are some of the most disrespected human beings on this earth. You know, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, we can go on and on. So it's cool to see LeBron and, celebrities or whoever understand that and enhance their platform even more by connecting them in a brotherhood, sisterhood type thing, because they have a lot to talk about, and they've been abused just as much as men have. So it's nice to see that they have a platform, that they now have a voice. It's cool.
Taking advantage. And finally, this from LeBron James, speaking of platforms, on Instagram. Do you understand now? I know the answer to that. You still don't, because no matter what happens, you still won't be judged. Looked at crazy, chained, beaten, hung, shot to death because of the color of your skin. 2 Americas we live in, and it was at full capacity live yesterday in our nation's capital, at the Capitol. Hashtag, I pray for better days for my people. Coming up, the games will go on. We will talk Lakers and Spurs and lead you up to the opening tip at the top of the hour. Anthony Davis getting some shots up. He set a career high last time out with 10 attempts from 3. He made 4. We'll take it. Road trip, and that means Mike Trudell is out of the cave in the green room and back at Staples Center, right where you belong. Mike, hello.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Nice to see you in the studio, and welcome to Staples Center. It is good to be back in the building, although, of course, I feel like I'll say this every game. Not the same without the fans. Hopefully, at some point, that will change. In the meantime, another thing that's super unique about this season, how about the 3rd time the Lakers have faced the Spurs in the last 9 days? I asked Frank Vogel a couple moments ago, Ali, just what that dynamic means and how they approach a contest like that.
Well, they showed us how good they are. You know, this is a really good basketball team that, is not happy about not making the playoffs last year. They played us really well in both of those games, even though we were able to prevail down the stretch. Aldridge obviously gives them an all-star level player that they didn't have in those 2 games. And, we saw what they're capable of with what they did against the Clippers 2 nights ago, having a 14-point lead with 4 minutes to play and closing those guys out. So we're going to have to play a great game to beat them for sure.
And Frank, wanted to double check if everybody else is available, and then also just what does it do for you getting Caruso back into the rotation, and what did you miss when he didn't play?
Yep, everybody else is available, and you guys all know what Alex brings to the table. It's just great energy. Always gives us an uptick off the bench. The defense, his containment ability, his ability to be in the passing lanes and take charges and just really impact that side of the ball, which gets us out into transition and playing faster. Definitely a lot of things on the court that he brings to the table, but also the intangibles of his leadership, his voice, working out coverages and, offensive spacing concepts, whatever you want to say. He's just been an invaluable member of our team, and we missed him on this trip.
During the bubble, people talked about how not traveling had a positive effect on guys and bodies and kind of keeping healthy. Some people speculated that the baseball style series might have a similar effect without you guys hopping planes after every game. After that 4-game road trip that you went on and having a couple guys banged up, does that hold water for you? Did you get any feedback from guys that was helpful for them to not have to travel after every game?
I didn't get any direct feedback from our guys. It still felt, I think, to most of our group like we were on the road for 8 days. Even though it was only 2 cities, as opposed to what would have been, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 cities. you're still gone from home, not sticking in your own bed. But even though it still felt like 8 days, probably was, a little easier, so to speak, than going to 4 or 5 different cities.
All right, guys, there is Frank Vogel. Now, we did just get an injury update on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, of course, has been out with the left ankle sprain. Allie, he will not play tonight. So he just went through warm-ups a bit ago. Sounds like there must still be a little bit of soreness in that ankle, and they're going to continue to go the conservative route. So no KCP. We would assume that Kyle Kuzma would again start in his place. That will be confirmed in a couple of moments here.
Thanks so much, Mike. We will certainly keep an eye on that. That's where you love the depth. As a Laker fan, of course, okay, no KCP, as he just mentioned. I want to start with you, big game, though, with Anthony Davis. He will play tonight. However, he showed up on the injury report after their final game. In Memphis. Any reason for concern? We know he's dealt with some nagging injuries here and there. He is going to play tonight, but
yeah, which nagging injury was it this time? He has a few. No, I'm old school. When a player checks it out, and if he puts the uniform on, I'm expecting what he does best. So, and I think that's the approach that they take too. I don't think they're going to take a chance. In fact, I know they won't take a chance on him playing, unless he's close to 100%. So I'm sure they put him through a variety of tests, different footwork moves or whatever, strength tests to make sure that he's ready and capable. So yeah, I'm not too surprised.
They did have an off day yesterday, which is nice,
Yeah.
of course. Alex Caruso, 5 games out. He is expected to play. No minutes restriction. What can you expect out of him? You just mentioned it looked like he kind of beefed up a little bit, maybe?
I was watching him working out, and I'm like, he got some guns now. I'm like, he always had the guns. He had to get, checked by the NBA one time because we went on social media. But, AC Fresh is one of those players you don't worry about because his IQ is there. His ability to come out and perform is there, and he knows what he can do. He doesn't try to be one of these players that, you know what, I haven't got a shot up. I'm going to try to cross the guy up and, get a shot. He takes what's given to him, and that's what you respect, and that's what his teammates respect about him most, that he takes what the game is given to him. So I'm so excited to see him back there with LeBron. I'm sure LeBron is happy to have him back because he's that spark. Mm-hmm. He's one of those sparks that they love, especially when he gets his dunking. AC Fresh,
that
baby.
Swag.
Yes,
that swag that you didn't have? Yeah, I like that.
I didn't need it, baby.
Straight ahead on access. Dennis Schroeder has improved his mid-range game this season. Mike Bresnan will take a dive into the numbers. Hey, Brez's three-point play. It's next. We're facing the Bulls tomorrow at Staples Center. Then they head right back out on the road with 2 games in Houston and complete their 3-game road trip next Wednesday in Oklahoma City. Time for Brez's three-point play. 3 things that you were looking forward to in this game, and you like what the Lakers are doing on the defensive end, especially 2 guys in particular.
Yeah, some NBA observers said, all right, they're going to lose JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, even Rondo. Could be problems for the Laker defense. Not the case so far. In fact, they have 2 guys in the top 10 in kind of an advanced metric called defensive win share. Right now, LeBron is 7th in the entire NBA in that category. Basically, how you do individually against guys trying to score against you. And guess who's number 8 in the entire league in defensive win share? Kyle Kuzma, that guy right there. We talk about his scoring. We've been talking about his passing quite a bit, but Kuz is 8th in this very advanced metric. Lakers, by the way, 2nd as a team in defensive rating. They finished 3rd last season, so they're doing some pretty good things at this point.
Next time I see Kuz trending on Twitter, it better be because of how well he's playing on the defensive end of the floor. Way to make sure everyone knows that. Alex Caruso, number 2. He's back in the lineup. What were they missing without him?
Yeah, you know, I feel like they need his spunk sometimes. You know, a couple of these games in Memphis that we saw over the last few days, the Lakers had some lulls. You know, they were down by double digits in both those games to a very undermanned Memphis team, let's face it. So I think Caruso, along with a guy like Montrezl Harrell, you get those guys on that second unit, their engines rev in the red almost every game. Those guys go full tilt. AC, he's shooting 50% from three-point range, leading the Lakers' rotation players in three-point shots. His minutes have been a little down, but, you know, when he's on the court, it's very, very effective. And by the way, while we're sticking with the COVID theme, 4 players out of about 500 tested positive in the NBA's most recent release. That's pretty good, under 1%. That's a pretty good number right there.
Good intel. Lastly, the mid-range game. There's a Laker that is really outperforming his numbers from the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty impressive, right? If you really, really think about it. We're talking about a guy who, you know, Dennis Schroeder, you think he can shoot threes or go to the basket for some easy layups? He's actually been great in the mid-range game. And this is from producer Andrew, our graphics guy. He came up with this number, shooting 58% from mid-range. He is actually not known for that type of stuff. Last year, he was about 47%. 2 years ago, he was about 29%. And I think the bottom line for Schroeder is basically he's a guy who works on his game. All right. He a couple years ago, he wasn't a great defender, worked hard at it. He was a guy who was top 30 in defensive win share last season, and now he's working on his three-point touch. Nice job by him. Or mid-range touch, I should say.
Well done by you. I like not looking at these beforehand because you really teach me something.
Yeah, you know,
It's
I try. Try to inform and entertain. That's all we can ask for.
That's Brez. Inform and entertain. The Lakers and Spurs are about 30 minutes away. The Lakers return to Staples Center tonight after going 4-0 on their recent road trip. LeBron James led the charge, averaging a double-double over the 4 games with 25 points and 10 rebounds. His running mate, Anthony Davis, right behind him, just over 24 points a game and 9.5 rebounds per on the trip. The Lakers are beginning to rack up quite an injury report. Anthony Davis will play despite a right adductor strain. KCP suffered a sprained ankle the last time they played the Spurs. He will miss his 3rd game in a row. But Alex Caruso is back. AC Fresh has been sidelined the last 5 games for the NBA's health and safety protocols. He will be available to play tonight. On the other side, the Spurs were in the midst of a 4-game losing streak until facing the Clippers here on Tuesday. They narrowly escaped with the 3-point win after Kawhi Leonard missed the game-tying 3-pointer. Patty Mills came off the bench and dropped a team-high 27 points. San Antonio made a season-high 23s, knocking them down at a 50% clip. And check this out. LeBron and AD dominated in the second half against the Grizz to give the Lakers a perfect 4-0 road trip. The duo combined for 35 second-half points and 13 boards. Not going to lose many games with nights like that. After the game, head coach Frank Vogel on the performance by LeBron.
A lot of confidence in LeBron James in the 4th quarter. You know, I don't really know any other way to say that. I trust him. You know, we coach him to you know, to make the right reads and feel the game out and point out things that may be there that you know, I'm sure he's seeing, but just to make sure he's seeing, and you know, that's why he can rise to the occasion the way he did.
It starts with me and LJ, and he, like I said, his ability to pass the ball and read defenses is unreal. You know, his IQ is very high, and you know, we usually have the ball in his hands, and you know, me and Dennis usually go mid-game with our pick and roll, and late game is usually me and LJ, and we just make plays from there. But you know, even when we don't got it, you know, we know that late game is what we're going to go to. You know, the ball in, you know, his hands or my hands, and we're going to live with that. You know, whether we make shots or miss shots, we're going to live with us making the plays for ourselves, for others.
Time for Little Access 360, brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa.
Good times.
Indeed. Rob, you like what you've seen from the 2 superstars, LeBron and AD, in crunch time.
Yes, in crunch time, the big dogs have to step up and eat. Right now in this Access 360, we're going to show you where AD and go. Here on the inbound play, LeBron's, you know, he's like this. He's feeling it this game. At this point down the stretch, you know who you got to go to. LeBron is assessing the defense. What are you going to do? You're going to double team me? And what are you going to do? Something. He's baiting. This is called a bait move. Fakes baseline, turns over the right shoulder for a little jump at the elbow. Right here, same situation, down the stretch. Minute 45 left to go in this game. What are they going to do? They're going to go to LeBron AD. You should know this as a defensive team, but here AD is directing traffic. He's going to go up and set this pick. But here's the key right here. It's not really a good pick because he's not up on the guy. LeBron just navigate. He sets him up, goes right, then comes back to his left, and then he penetrates. Look at this alley. This is a perfect alley to give the ball to AD. AD rolls to the basket, perfect pass for a dunk. Points in the paint, down the stretch. And then the best part about it, you're telling me too little. Watch out, little fella, too little.
Too little. Let's further that point, James. Go inside access on LeBron in the fourth. The last 2 games, his field goal percentage has skyrocketed from the first 6 games of the season. From inside the paint, LeBron is shooting almost 30% better than he did the first 6 games. And from outside the paint, he has improved his percentage. I had to take a double take on this, from 18% all the way up to 86%. That's dramatic. Oh, by the way, 18th season, 36 years old.
And that's the most amazing thing. At 36, that's usually when younger players, if you're still in the league at all, that's when they start picking on you, start hitting you, telling you you're old man, driving around you, embarrassing you. But not with this. And what he's probably enjoying the most is he has a full cast now. He's always had a co-star beside him, but he has a full cast. So when he can take a rest, throughout the game where he didn't have all the pressure on him. We have other guys scoring now, Schroeder, Montrez, and, now AD is here. But when he has to, he takes care of business. And the fourth quarter is usually where he does it, Brezzy. I see you over there with your mask on.
It's funny that you look at all the teams LeBron has had throughout the years. I think this is probably the team with the deepest bench that can give him more rest. I know, Allie, you can probably attest to this more than us but if you watch him, it's like he's not really exerting a lot of energy to the fourth quarter because he doesn't have to. He got these guys now who can step up, and he's enjoying it. You love to see when a guy gets later in his years, he's enjoying the game and love watching his teammates excel.
It's why we continue to put emphasis on what the front office was able to do this offseason. I mean, they won a championship, and to be able to get better in the way in which they did get better, you have a lot of
and it doesn't
praise to them.
It doesn't happen overnight. They tried to bring in some 3-point shooters, and they had to wait for the right moment. And so, I credit the front office for doing what they're doing. And LeBron, now that he sees he can rest during the game, he takes pleasure now in making sure that he can find guys. And, like he ran a little play for Montrez. You were talking about they need to run. Somebody said a pick for him. He hit him. So he's really just enjoying the game. It comes easy to him. Amazing athlete, man.
Lakers 6-2. He's averaging low 30s in minutes.
Amazing athlete.
It's not to love about it. Speaking of one of those new faces, Wes Matthews has been a Laker for 9 games and settling into his role with his new team. He joined Mike Trudell a short while ago.
All right, Wesley Matthews joining us courtside. Wesley, thanks for taking the time, first of all. So this is such an odd occurrence. You're seeing a team for the 3rd time in 9 days. It doesn't really happen outside of a playoff series. How does that impact the game? How does that impact the way you guys prep for this squad?
I mean, we look at it like a playoff preparation. And we know this game isn't going to be easy. Every game that you play against the same team in a shortened time, the game gets more and more difficult. It's more about who wants it more. It's more about the everything between the X's and O's. It's who's gonna scrap, who's gonna fight, who's gonna do all the little things that make sure that you come out on the right side.
Wesley, what did you learn about this team on that 4-0 road trip? I know it's early, but anything that you took away?
I mean, that's just the road warrior mentality that you have to have. Obviously, you want to win every single game that you play. Obviously, protecting home is key, but in order to be the last team standing, you got to be able to be just as dominant or equal or even more dominant on the road. And we're able to come together. We won in a variety of different ways, and that's what it's going to take. I mean, every game is going to be different. Every game is going to present different task and a different challenge. And, been able to come out of it 4-0 is a great feeling. Now we got to take care of home.
All right, and finally, you guys didn't have a couple of your guards in the last couple of games. No KCP, no Caruso. But you could argue that there are 11 players on this roster that could start and finish games. I know you were the one that was out there to finish the games in Memphis. How have you noted the depth of this roster, and how do you think that can play out as the season goes on?
I mean, the depth is going to be huge. I mean, depth is going to be key. Health is going to be key, especially in a season like this where there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of variables. The depth of the Lakers last year was the reason why they were the last team standing, and trying to recreate that again this year. Everybody has to be the next man up and step up, and there's no doubt that a lot of guys, 11 guys, could start throughout this league, and that's just the beauty of this team.
All right, Wesley, thanks for the time and have fun tonight, all right?
All right, thank you.
We're getting closer to tip-off with KCP out again tonight. Talen Horton-Tucker could have an opportunity for more minutes. He's been productive in his sophomore season. The Lakers and Spurs are... It's been a horrific week for social justice in the United States as a whole. No charges for the officer-involved shooting of Jacob Blake, an assault of the United States Capitol. Frank Vogel and Greg Popovich were asked about what they've seen and what we might see from their teams tonight in response.
The conversations are still ongoing as to what we're going to do tonight pregame. So there's no answer to that yet. We're still talking about those types of things. But for me, just making a statement about what's wrong in this country, and that things have to change. In particular with regard to racism, and it's a problem. We're working to change things. It's not going to happen overnight, but what we saw in the last 2 days with the Jacob Blake ruling and with the events at the Capitol were just very disheartening and saddening. And it was just the inequality and the double standard on full display, and it's not right. So, we got to continue the conversation, keep the conversation going, and, hopefully, continue to affect change whenever we can.
It was the Capitol. It's our country. We're in a horrible position, and we could send a message to the world. We can send a message to our children, to our citizens, that what they saw yesterday wasn't really America. Although that was America. It happened here. That's who we are. But we don't want to be that. And Mike Pence can send a message. If he doesn't, I hope Nancy Pelosi follows through. Because even if it doesn't work, it's not the point. It'd be great if it did. But to send that message to the world that's laughing at us, I'm embarrassed to be an American and see people see what they saw yesterday. It would send a great message and maybe help all of us to heal a bit and start to feel good.
Powerful words. And finally, this from senior NBA insider for Yahoo Sports, Chris Haynes. He tweeted, Los Angeles Lakers look to reconvene post-championship tradition of visiting White House this season after Joe Biden has visited the White House during the Trump administration. The Lakers will play the Wizards on a yet-to-be-determined date in the second half of the regular season. Tip-off is minutes away. Kyle Kuzma will make his fourth start of the season as KCP is out for a third game in a row. The Lakers and Spurs are coming up. Take your shot. It's next. Welcome back. Here it is, your starting lineup for the Lake Show tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. As just announced, Kyle Kuzma gets start for KCP, who misses his third straight game with that ankle injury. And guys, while the last two games weren't the best by any means for LA, the defense in the second half has been outstanding. The Lakers allowed 40 points in the second half on Sunday, followed by 43 in the second half on Tuesday. Big game. You're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, playing that kind of
like
defense. Playing that kind of defense. They're very consistent. They're very connected, particularly the guards. I mean, Caruso, obviously we know what he can do. Pope. I mean, Schroeder picking up people full court. That's impressive. And then Wes Matthews is also, a guy that hounds the ball too. So very impressed with the way they're getting it done. They can't get into a habit of having to turn it on when they need to. They've got to start from the beginning and get that consistency back.
I can't believe you didn't mention the guy who's made the biggest jump. Kuzma.
Are you calling out the Hall of Famer?
Kuzma.
Did I say Kuzma? I thought I said Kuzma.
I ain't
He
hate
might have
Kuzma,
snuck it
but
in
that
there.
has been the most impressive thing to me.
He's playing great
Kuzma's willingness to play defense and get back on defense.
I left him for you, Rob. I can't name them all.
Again, gosh,
some.
that
Worthy
is
the
a
point guard.
team player's mentality. We can't all be like you and just want the ball all the time.
If that was the case, I'd average more points. But no. Think about it, though. He's blocking shots. He's running down the finish. He's giving the effort. Playing defense is all about effort because there's a lot of people who can play defense, but they don't give the effort. So when he gives the effort like he's doing, their defense is a whole lot better. So I'm proud of Kuz.
How was your defense as a player?
That was damn good.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, just like our director tonight, Manny. Did you guys check out the blue lights? Lakers are wearing the city editions. It's time for Take Your Shots,
smooth,
brought to you by, your Southern California Toyota dealers. You'll each pick a Laker that you think will impact this game and tell us how in big game. You're rolling with Wes Matthews.
Yeah, I'm going Wes Matthews. Played with his dad, won a couple of championships with his dad, and this guy is starting to find, his way. And I think LeBron kind of understands how he plays. He's one of the best guys at faking a pick and what we call slipping the pick and running into a quick hitter. And when he catches, he's able to shoot right away. I love what he's doing on the defensive end as well. He's going to be key for us when we need big shots and big threes, Rob.
Rocking a new hairstyle tonight, too. Speaking of, Rob, you're rolling with Beast Mode.
Trez. Right here. If you think about it, this guy does work in this building. He's home now. Think about the first 3 games, he was averaging 17 points. Now he's back in his building. He can put up some work, and he got another guard that can get him the ball like in Kuz playing. So I'm looking for him to put up big numbers tonight.
All right, Brez.
I'm going to go with Caruso. We haven't seen him play since December 27th. Rob was still digesting his Christmas dinner at that date. He's been hitting threes, eager to see his defense. I think he'll be a nice little catalyst for the Lakers.
Come on, Allie.
THT. That's who I'm rolling with. But for now,